Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of April 9th, 2026, including rumors suggest Halo Campaign Evolved could be coming as early as July. Forza Horizon 6 previews report another great game is on the way. An update on the long-awaited State of Decay 3 has arrived. All that and more. On This Week in Xbox History, in the year 2025, 1 year ago, South of Midnight was released for the original Xbox. Nope, not the original Xbox, the Xbox Series S and X. If this was released on the original Xbox, that would be a little concerning that people would invest in a $500 Xbox Series X only to then have the newest, latest releases be brought forward to consoles that have been around for 20 years. However, I assume this isn't much worse than bringing the game to, I don't know, Nintendo Switch 2 or PlayStation 5 and saying to Xbox fans, screw you and screw your console exclusives. We'll put your games everywhere. That's right. South of Midnight is our, we talked about last week, is now officially out on PlayStation 5 and Switch 2, but that's not the point of this. We're just celebrating 1 year of State of Decay. I keep saying State of Decay because I'm reading the word State of Decay above this. Let me repeat that, South of Midnight. A game I actually enjoyed quite a bit last year. I thought it was a really, really great game, despite definitely some shortcomings. Just a very pedestrian combat system. A lot of people complained about how linear it was. That wasn't really my problem at all. I would say the combat was my number one gripe with the game, and then the other thing is I feel like the story has 100% potential, and then 100% like follow through on the setup and a lot of the build up. And then just kind of fails to really take the story to its fullest potential in the final act of the game. So that's kind of my criticism of the game. But otherwise, I feel like from an artistic, just a visual and auditory standpoint, this game is phenomenal. It's wholly unique. It's very beautiful. I think from a gameplay standpoint, it's very serviceable. The platforming and just movement feel great. The exploration is simple yet satisfying, and the writing and the dialogue and the story and everything are just for the most part a treat. While there are some shortcomings, I overall feel like this game is a very unique, very special game, very underrated game, and I highly recommend. If last year this passed you by, highly recommend carving out 10 hours or so to experience South of Midnight. Whether you play it on Xbox, PC, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch 2, it's a great game no matter where you play it. I assume I haven't played it on some of those other platforms, but I played it on Xbox, and I can tell you it was a great game there. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Xbox On podcast. Let's start off with notable releases of the week, keeping the theme of Xbox games leaving Xbox going. Starfield, as of this week, is now officially on PlayStation 5. Seems like it's kind of doing well on PlayStation 5 sales-wise. Really doing well. There was a lot of pent-up demand. It was like the number one best-selling game on the PlayStation Store, so clearly there was a lot of hunger for this game on PlayStation, despite the negative press online this game's been getting ever since it came out. Review-wise, it's doing pretty well. It looks like a lot of these new updates that came out alongside with the game on the 7th of April are being fairly well received. Seems like the overall consensus is like, hey, this doesn't fix everything that's wrong with Starfield. This doesn't make you go from hating the game to loving the game, but if you like Starfield, you're going to like it a lot more now. And if you didn't like Starfield, you might like it. You might be less upset about it or more keen on it than you were previously, despite the fact that it's not going to 100% change your opinion. I don't know. This is great news. I feel like for me, it's been long enough on Starfield that like when I come back to this game at some point in the future, it's going to be for a whole new playthrough. So I don't know. I'll probably give it a PC playthrough at some point in the future, but right now is not the time. There's just too much stuff happening right now in gaming that I'm way too distracted. I mean, this is 2 years in a row Bethesda's done this to us, where last April, May, it was all, Elder Scrolls Oblivion remastered, and it was like, hey, what a great surprise. I'm just too busy right now for this. And then this year, they're like, hey, Starfield on PS5, and if you're an Xbox player, lots of Starfield content updates. It's like, this is great. I'm just a little too busy for this right now, Bethesda. Please could just slow it down. And by slow it down, I do not mean the Elder Scrolls 6. I mean everything else. But anyway, this is exciting nonetheless. I love Starfield. You guys know, if you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, I was a huge supporter of this game from the moment it released, and I still to this day stand by everything I've said about this game. I think this game is obscenely underrated. It is, in my opinion, one of Bethesda's very best games. And while there is a lot of valid criticism to throw at it, some of which I agree with, some of that mainstream criticism towards this game, I don't think it should stop you from enjoying what is excellent about this game, which is to say a lot. The tone, the atmosphere, the writing, the storytelling, the combat. I think the narrative in this game is the best Bethesda's ever done. I just really strongly love Starfield, and I just think this game, like South of Midnight, just deserved a little bit more respect than it got. But that's what happens when you're an Xbox game. You're a combination of slightly underbaked game / overly hated game, because let's be honest, the general public and critics definitely have a little bit of a favoritism slant towards the Nintendo and PlayStation sides of the world. And then, I don't know, whatever. We don't have to get into it. Just know Starfield's a great game. If you haven't played it, you got a really good game ahead of you, just like you do with South of Midnight. So there's 2 Xbox games you ought to give a try if you haven't already. Guys, welcome to the Xbox On Podcast, episode 358. Is Halo Campaign Evolved coming early? Hold on, we'll talk about it. All right, a little bit of a different episode this week. We're going to have to keep it a little brief. 2 things. It's a slower news week, so there's not as much to talk about as usual. Last week's show did really well, so I appreciate all you guys who tuned in. I appreciate all you first-time listeners that tuned in. We had a decent amount of you as well, but everyone, of course, I appreciate your support. So, but yeah, this week, a little bit of a shorter week, not too much news to get through, so we'll go through all that and wrap things up a little sooner than usual, just because today I am off work. I have some extended family. My girlfriend's got her family visiting in town, so we just got some plans, things we're doing. But of course, I'm always going to carve out a little bit of time for the Xbox On Podcast, because what else are you guys going to do? I know we have a large population here that lives in the UK and Australia, and I know you guys don't have a whole lot to look forward to outside of the Xbox On Podcast, so I take it very seriously that I deliver this show to you each and every week. I say as my country is threatening to fucking ethnically cleanse the Iranian people. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Xbox On Podcast. Let's not talk about that and just quickly roll into our news stories of the week, because while we don't have a whole lot to talk about, it is a very first-party Xbox-centric week, which I am excited about, because we need more of those. So here we go. All right, guys, talking about Halo at the top of the show. If ever there's a chance to talk about Halo, I want to put it up first, because you can't spell Xbox without Halo. Don't look it up. That's just true. All right, let's go to purexbox.com. This first one here. Rumors suggest that Halo Campaign Evolved, the upcoming remake and reimagining of the first Halo game, might be coming out July 28th, 2026, with an early access period taking place on July 23rd, 5 days early. That's usually when Xbox does their early access period. It's usually a 3 or 5 day early access, so that's pretty standard. All right, the rumor has been gaining traction courtesy of a Halo social media account called grunt.api over on Twitter. So this is, okay, grunt.api tweets this gif of like a freaking shooting star or something, and then it has like these codes and numbers and things I don't understand. There's EA:18X7, whatever. I'm not going to get into it, but it shows all these things, and then it's retweeted by Captain Kaba, another Halo-centric YouTube or Twitter user, who says EA is 23, OR is 28. Still don't know what that means. It says this meteor GIF refers to Halo Campaign Evolved's codename. An earlier version of this tweet and the Fanta promo that we talked about the other week has a deadline that implies the game is dropping in the month of July. So they say that basically, if you break down what all this means, it basically suggests that the game is coming out July 28th, the early access is July 23rd, and it's referring to the game Halo Campaign Evolved. To further add credence to that, we have the official Halo Reddit page, which mentioned a few days ago that the date had been spotted as part of a pre-demand survey from a Korean retailer that said that the game had passed the rating review by the Korean Game Rating and Administration Committee after the survey. So we got... That's a typical leak, The Korean rating board is one of the most common ways in which game dates leak, or sometimes games themselves leak. So if you get that plus a reliable Halo leaker, it's a pretty safe assumption that there's at least some truth to this. Whether or not this game actually comes out, those dates, it does suggest that at least at some point that has been the plan. Listen, there's a lot of credibility to this, just in the sense that one, you don't really want to be putting out a Halo remake in November because it's right up against GTA, and just because it's a new, Halo's a big franchise, but at the same time, there's a lot of crossover between GTA and Halo fans, especially on the Xbox front of things. Plus, a Halo remake doesn't, attract people the way that like a brand new Halo entry or a brand new like Halo sequel would. So putting that against Grand Theft Auto 6, the most anticipated thing in entertainment history, probably not the smartest idea. Plus, we now know that not Grand Theft Auto, Gears of War E-Day is scheduled for release this year. So it's like, okay, if Forza's in May and Fable is presumably around September, how are you going to do the Halo Gears of War thing? You got to space them out in a way. It kind of feels perfect to put Halo in a place like July. The only reason why you wouldn't want to put Halo in July is because the simple fact that Halo is kind of the crown jewel of the Xbox brand, and if November is the 25th anniversary of the Xbox brand, you'd probably want to release Halo as close to that actual anniversary date as you can. But that's one of those things where like it makes a lot of sense to the fans to do it that way, but in the modern business world, it's just like, dude, whatever, we have a product, we gotta ship it. This is when it makes the most amount of sense for us to ship it. So as long as it's in the year of the 25th anniversary of Xbox, doesn't really matter whether it was July or November or whatever. So I could see this still coming in July. If that's the case, we all know how this is going to go. It's going to be at the Xbox Game Showcase in June. They're going to announce it then. What is it, June 7th? That Sunday. That's when they'll announce it. And then it would be a pleasant surprise. Hey, this game's coming out in 5-6 weeks. So that would be almost certainly how we would get a confirmation of this news. I don't think we're going to hear anything from Xbox on it between now and June 7th. So, whatever. It's all just speculation. We just kind of have to go off the vibe of whether or not it feels right until then. But I would suspect that this is probably right, and think it's a great idea because the summer months there's really no such thing as a dead time anymore for game releases. It's always packed, but still relative to the other 10 months of the year, I would say that historically June and July are the slowest months of the year for game releases. I don't really understand why. The kids are out of school. It's a good time to stay out of the heat and be indoors, so I don't see why you wouldn't put more games out in June, July. So this is just something that kind of makes sense in a lot of ways, to have something like Halo Campaign Evolved, something that will garner a lot of attention, yet not set the world on fire, because after all, it is a remake. It's not like some Halo sequel or something. So just kind of feels like it makes sense in a lot of ways. Whether or not that lends it to be true, yet to be seen. But I think by June 7th, we'll know for sure what the plan is here. But I don't know. I think it makes perfect sense. So I'm hoping this is the direction they go. All right, moving on. I think we will go to the news story that probably should have been the top of the news, just because of how long we've waited for an update on this. However, not going to put Halo in second place. You can't do it to Halo. So State of Decay 3, finally, the long-awaited State of Decay 3 has an update. I feel like this game doesn't warrant this level of development cycle or this level of anticipation delay, not because State of Decay isn't a good franchise. While it's not necessarily my cup of tea, I recognize, people love this series. It's just, I don't know, from what I've experienced with the first two entries, I just don't see how this is a game that can really justify a decades-long development cycle. And the number of delays in which it's received, but who knows? Anyway, we got some good news for once on this game. There's been quite a bit of an update. In fact, this game has been in the news twice in the past week, so let's hop into it. So from PureXbox.com, it's been a long time since Xbox first announced State of Decay 3. I believe it was 2020. But it's finally almost ready to start public play testing with a mysterious broadcast from the Undead Labs developer announcing plans for multiple alpha playtests in the near future. A broadcast which shows off a bit of concept art and actual gameplay from State of Decay 3, which also emphasizes the role of the State of Decay community in shaping the game. So the first playtest will begin in May of 2026, so next month, with more opportunities to follow. They say the following quote: "Starting next month, we'll be hosting a series of alpha playtests with the community. I'm not going to spoil the surprise for you, but I can say that it will feature 4-player co-op, some new base building and resource strategies, and a whole lot of combat." So this was just a random video they dropped on YouTube, the Undead Labs YouTube channel. And it was mostly like a developer kind of diary, the way in which it was filmed. It shows like interview style positioning on like the studio head, and it shows like flashes of people in the office developing the game, playing on computer, whatever, but you get little 2-second snippets of gameplay footage. And so we've now technically officially seen State of Decay 3 being played in the most kind of just unceremonious, anticlimactic way possible, where we're just being shown in the background snippets of this game that's been long delayed and long speculated on for the better part of a decade. It's just kind of a weird way to bring this game back into the conversation. However, you can sign up for the alpha playtest by heading over to the official State of Decay 3 website now, where you'll be asked to link a Discord account to gain access to the alpha. Additionally, that's story 1. So story 2 is that studio head of Undead Labs, Philip Holt, was in an interview with Sunny Games. It's a YouTube channel. I'm not going to pretend to be familiar with them because I'm not. But it was about a 40-50 minute interview where he was asked about, hey, that trailer we saw back in 2020, that reveal, what's up with that? Where's this game? What's going on? And he goes, this is his direct quote from the interview. He goes, the trailer from 2020, that really wasn't the game or a game that the team were working on with that trailer. It was so early. I mean, there was 4 or 5 people on the team. The game was a Word document at that point. The trailer was done by Blur, of course, being the studio that does the Halo cutscenes. They're well known. They do a lot of work in the video games industry for high quality CGI cutscenes. It was all pre-rendered. It represented a concept or thought of what at the time of what it might be cool to explore in State of Decay 3. And as we've had a chance to build the team and get going on the game, some of those elements I think are going to persist in the game that we deliver. And some of those things were just we're not doing zombie animals. So in the trailer, I think it shows, there's a deer in the forest that looks like it's infected, and I guess what they're kind of alluding to is, oh, hey, that's not going to be a gameplay thing. That was just part of this trailer that we were messing around with. I think it's a little disappointing. This kind of goes back to a bigger problem, not just Undead Labs or Microsoft or Xbox, but just the games industry as a whole, where I don't love the idea of announcing and teasing games that aren't in development. I appreciate the candidness. Hey, you're saying there's only 5 people working on the project at the time. The game was a Word document at that point. It's okay, so why the heck are you putting together this kind of feeler, high quality Blur CGI cutscene? Because that suggests to people that this game is pretty far along development, not far enough for us to get a gameplay reveal, but far enough to be announcing it, showing it. Maybe it's 2 years out. So to kind of bait and switch the audience by teasing something like this and then being oh yeah, we don't even have anything up and running yet for this game. It's that's kind of a crappy thing to do. Now, that being said, in Undead Labs' defense, I doubt that's a decision they made. This is probably a decision that came from the higher ups at Microsoft. I think this was, remember 2020 was a time where so much has changed in such a short period of time, where in 2020, Microsoft and the heads of Xbox really believed at that time that, hey, we have a huge opportunity with the release of this new console generation to really win back some of this audience that we've lost during the Xbox One generation. This is a fresh start for Xbox. Game Pass is on the up and up. People like our brand. We're kind of rewriting the reputation we've built over the past generation. And this, if we have an E3 in 2020 or an Xbox showcase where we can say, yeah, our new console comes out this fall, is going to have games like blank, 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 X, Y, and Z. They can really build up a lot of anticipation and respect from the gaming audience, gaming community at large. So I think State of Decay 3 was the victim of Xbox marketing and Xbox leadership trying to sell people on the future of the Xbox brand and the Xbox Series generation by over-promising and prematurely announcing things. And I don't think it was necessarily Undead Labs being hey, we want to talk about a game we're not ready to show you for another 5 years, So listen, I understand there's that push and pull of what the creatives would rather do versus what the suits and ties kind of have to do to try and run the business as they see fit. So this is just, I guess a victim. This game is just a victim of that circumstance, of the timing and the situation that Xbox was in at the time. Now, can we hold Xbox accountable for that? Absolutely. But I just, whatever. I'm not going to hold it against Undead Labs like that, because I doubt they would have announced and shown this game off the way they did when they did, if it were entirely up to them. But that is, of course, my pure speculation. Aside from that, I'm just happy to know that this game is real. It's happening. You'll remember that in, I want to say 2023 or 4, maybe it was 22. but maybe somewhere around 2023. Let's just say that. Kotaku had a big investigative piece about how things behind the scenes at this studio development on this game were not going so hot. Apparently leadership was shifting. People were getting burned out and felt like the communication was bad. The game wasn't coming together. There was a lot of turmoil. The game had been internally rebooted, I believe, once or twice. So things were not looking hot for Undead Labs in the development of State of Decay 3 for a while. So it is promising to see that clearly they're coming out on the other end of this. Things are working out to some extent, because if they're going to be playtesting the game and talking about it soon and showing things, they're clearly putting some kind of product out into the world. Hopefully it's like a better version of State of Decay 2 and not like a Crackdown 3 situation where it's like, hey, we will release this game, no matter what, whether it's the last thing we do. So I'm hoping that this game ends up being a triumph and not just some kind of, I don't know, that thing that gets eked out and then the studio just kind of goes out in a whimper, which I'm not expecting to be the case, but you got to account for all possible scenarios. That being said, another thing that on June 7th at the Xbox Showcase this summer, I fully expect we will see this game. I fully expect we will get a proper gameplay reveal with a tentative date. I would expect the trailer to end by saying 2027 and then leaving it at that. And then maybe next year at the Developer Direct, we'll get some more information. But this is, I assume, a 2027 tentative project. You think you got that, and then maybe Clockwork Revolution, and those are probably your big games for next year. One or two other things thrown in there. You got yourself another year of Xbox, Call of Duty, what have you. But yeah, I think this is definitely going to be the target right now is to make this a big 2027 project for Xbox, and that excites me, not because I'm a State of Decay fan. I will give this game a try. I like State of Decay 2 more. I like State of Decay 1. I'm sure I'll like State of Decay 3 more than I like State of Decay 2. But it's the survival thing, the base building, all that stuff, the permadeath. That stuff doesn't do it for me. But whatever. I can respect that. Not every game is for me. There are plenty of zombie games out there for me, like Toxic Commando. So to you State of Decay 3 fans or State of Decay fans, I'm excited for you. Finally, you got some good news to look forward to. And I definitely look forward to seeing, with so much time behind this game, and now that Undead Labs has been a first-party Xbox team for so long, can we, and I mean this in a respectful, caring way, can we finally make State of Decay look and feel like a AAA first-party game? Because, listen, the second one looks better than the first one, but the second one still kind of looks and feels like some, like, AA janky kind of game, which I respect. They're a smaller team, Undead Labs, but, like, come on, man. You have the time, you have the money of Xbox, of Microsoft behind you. It's like, let's try to put a little more effort. And I'm not usually one to rag too much on graphics and performance and things like that, because I largely don't care. I think games for the most part these days just all kind of look great, but like, you're Microsoft, put a little bit more love into the look and feel of this series. I feel like it could go a long way in helping sell the game to a wider audience. All right, guys. So we've been on a roll, talked about Halo, talked about State of Decay. We've got even more Xbox first-party news to talk about, and yes, it's positive, finally. A positive week of news for Xbox. This is really unprecedented, but highly welcome. All right, guys, let's talk about Forza Horizon 6, which we're only about a month and a half, so it's time to start getting hyped. I know we all love Forza Horizon. It's a hard franchise not to love, even if you're not a racing fan. I think everyone who knows anything about Forza knows that the Horizon games are at the very least about as good as it gets if you're a racing fan. And if you're not, this is probably the most fun you're going to have with the racing game outside of like a kart racer like Mario Kart. So previews are in. This is from VGC, not really from anything, but pretty much every outlet. I saw VGC put one up, but other outlets are doing so as well. Previews for Forza Horizon 6 are out. Xbox, I think the official Xbox YouTube and Xbox Wire put out like a 30-minute gameplay video preview of it. And then like I saw Skill Up did one. Of course, you got your IGNs and your VGCs, and everyone did some kind of preview. And, shocker, the general consensus is the game is shaping up to be another excellent Forza Horizon game. And, not only do people already highly appreciate and respect UK developer Playground Games for the previous entries in the Forza Horizon series, but the fact that this is also the entry that's finally going to the place people have wanted the series to go to forever, I think gives this game a lot of excitement. Don't get me wrong, Forza Horizon 5 going to Mexico, that was a cool setting. I thought that game was awesome, but Japan has been the one everyone's been waiting on, and so I think there's a lot of fervor from audiences to finally get to race around in their freaking Hondas and Toyotas around the streets of Tokyo and things like that. So it just is what it is. I think there's a special level of hype here. I know I'm excited for this game. I've already got it ready to go. I've got it saved, ready to download the thing. And so more to that. It just seems like the general consensus is people are hyped on it. There's some changes that have been made to the formula, but for the most part, if you played Forza Horizon, you probably know what to expect here. I'm not going to go into it beyond that because I want to be careful how I say this. I'm not trying to sound silly. It's not like there's a way to spoil Forza Horizon, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I know what Forza Horizon is. I love these games since I played the second one, and I'm sure I'm going to love this game. So I don't really want to watch other people's opinions or other people's gameplay. I just want to play it for myself in May. I can wait 6 more weeks and just see everything for the first time when I'm playing rather than someone else. So I'm not really going to go into any specific changes, but just know if you're interested in consuming more info and seeing more of this game between now and the release, there's plenty of it out there for you to go and get. So that's a good thing there. And then one last Forza Horizon note is that the ever-reliable Dead Labs insider, Bill Kuhn, has leaked that apparently there's going to be a limited edition Forza Horizon 6 wireless controller and wireless headset from Xbox. So the controller and headset are both set to go on sale May 19th, the same day as the game. The controller will retail for $90 US, which is $10 more than the Doom the Dark Ages controller sold for last year. So again, price is going up. And the headset will retail for $135, which is I don't remember like what these headsets cost, but that sounds insane. I have the Xbox wireless headset. I think when I got it, when it first came out, it was $100. They did do a limited edition wireless headset release one other time for Starfield in 2023. I don't remember if that was maybe also $135, but man, that sounds like an expensive version of this headset, which don't get me wrong, it's a great headset. I love this thing. I have no complaints about it, but damn, $135. Anyway, obviously these are just rumors for now, so we haven't seen them, but I assume they'll look cool because if you remember, when Forza Horizon 5 came out, it had a really cool limited edition controller, and I assume they'll probably keep some of that aesthetic moving forward, probably do something pink with cherry blossoms on it or something. If they do like a white, pink, red, cherry blossom Japanese thing on the controller, that would actually be a pretty cool look, but I don't know. I don't really usually get suckered into special controllers. My girlfriend picked me up when they did like those crazy purple blue, like shattered crystal-y looking ones that are semi-transparent a few months ago. My girlfriend found one of them on sale like for a pretty good deal on Amazon, and she picked one up for me as a surprise, and I love it. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, I really appreciate this as a gift. I don't know that I ever would have bought it myself, especially at a marked up price. So I don't know. I know a lot of people clearly love limited edition controllers because they keep making them, so that means people are buying them. But other than, I think the only one that ever came out that I was like, oh, I can't believe I missed that, was over a decade ago at this point, but the Titanfall controller they did for the Xbox One in 2014, like the white Xbox One controllers with the black analog sticks and the orange accents of the Titanfall universe. Oh my god, that one looks so good. My girlfriend watches Smosh all the time. I guess Smosh is not today what it was when I was in middle school, so I don't really understand what it is anymore, but she watches Smosh, and it's just a bunch of people at a table talking all the time. And the reason I bring that up is because in one of the shows they do, in the background, they have a wall of video game controllers, and one of the controllers is that Xbox One Titanfall controller, and every time I walk in the room and my girlfriend's watching Smosh, I'm just like, oh, they have the controller. They have it. They have the Titanfall controller. Dude, there's so many times I've like gone on eBay. I'm like, can you buy this? Is there a good price for this thing? No. Nobody sells it. That's the other thing too. It's like, if you find it, obviously it's really expensive, but like nobody who has that controller wants to sell it. My guess is because everyone knows it's the coolest looking limited edition controller. But other than that, I think I bought a Halo 5 limited edition controller back when that game came out. Other than that, I don't think I've ever fallen into, I won't say the trap, but I've never succumbed to the enticement of getting the limited edition controller when a new game comes out. But I see the appeal. It's always nice to have a fresh gamepad too. When you have like a new AAA game you're looking forward to, something you're going to sink a lot of time into, and you got a brand new controller to play with it, it has that kind of like new console feel a little bit. So I totally get the appeal. But oh man, it's a money sinking away. The best time to get a new controller is Black Friday, when you can get like, if your controller's worn out, the analog sticks are beat to hell, go pick up a Black Friday basic controller for like $40. That's the way to do it, but I get the appeal at the same time. Anyway, all right, we got another exciting news about like Xbox stuff. Positive news, very welcome here. All right, guys, Xbox achievements are getting a refresh. So from purexbox.com, let's read here. It says, it's just been announced that Xbox achievements are getting multiple new improvements, including a brand new visual refresh. And these are rolling out to Xbox insiders beginning today. This was written today, so it's saying Wednesday the 8th, but whatever. This week, if you're an Xbox insider, you should start seeing this update roll out for people like you. So I wonder if I'll see it, because I am an Xbox insider. I have not played Xbox in a minute, so I got to go see if this is something I can trigger, because I'm curious to check this out. So they say, quote, this is from Xbox, we've refreshed achievement notifications with a new look and feel, including updated icons, animations when you unlock classic or rare achievements. Notifications will also match your custom color, making each unlock feel more personal. Happy achievement hunting. Also, when you've earned all available gamer score for a game, you'll now see it highlighted in your achievements list, so your hard work is easy to spot. This gives a quick, at-a-glance way to celebrate a full completion. Finally, you'll now be able to hide games from your Xbox achievements list. Thank God, this is the one I'm excited for. If you wish to do that as well, Xbox says this has been one of the most requested features from insiders, allowing you to have, quote, more control on how your accomplishments are presented. And this feature is one that will be rolling out later in the month. Whether you want a cleaner look or you just want to highlight what matters most to you, this puts your profile in your hands. All of this will initially be available to members of the Xbox Insider program alone, following a public rollout sometime in the near future. Insiders usually remain exclusive for about a few weeks. So I'm expecting by sometime around mid-May, by the time you're playing Forza Horizon 6, all of this should be rolled out to everyone. But if you're an insider, you might be seeing some of these features as soon as this week, or maybe in the week or two ahead. In any case, I highly, highly welcome these changes. Now, they seem to do this every generation or so. Or Xbox achievements get a refresh. You'll remember a couple years into the Xbox One generation, they refreshed achievements, the way they looked and sound. They added that new... they added the... what am I trying to say? When you unlock a rare achievement, and it plays a different sound effect and does a different like achievement toast, with a different look and feel, and you get like the little diamond and stuff. Like that was all a mid Xbox One generation refresh, part of a new overhaul. So this seems to be a thing they do every generation at some point, is kind of overhaul and refresh the look and feel of achievements, which I think is awesome, because Xbox achievements are just one of the inventions, one of the creations from Xbox that the whole industry took note of and copied. Steam, PlayStation, everyone. Nintendo not included, because they're so begrudgingly different. But one that it was such a great idea back in 2005 when it was introduced, and still all these years later, everyone still kind of unanimously agrees, what a great addition to gaming, what a great way to help add some extra pride and accomplishment to your profile, to your digital profile and ecosystem and library, to be like, yeah, these are all the games I've played, this is how much I've completed them, this is my score. On PlayStation, you get your trophies in your level and all that. It's a very fun way to kind of look at your profile and your collection and have that sense of accomplishment or pride. It's very stupid in the grand scheme of things, but I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's everyone on Xbox, whether you're an active achievement hunter, a lapsed one, or someone who's never really cared for them. I think everyone can agree achievements are a very welcome thing, a very well-liked feature. And I think it's cool that they're going to look and feel a little refreshed. I think the bigger thing is, one, even though I like achievements more than Steam achievements or PlayStation trophies, I will agree there are some things Steam and PlayStation do that I think amp it up a little bit, especially PlayStation with the whole like idea that like you get a level to represent like, oh, you got this many platinum trophies or this many gold trophies, and like the tiering of everything helps really make you feel extra accomplished if you're someone who pursues a higher completion earn rate. While I think the gamer score overall approach is more pure and classic, and I do prefer it. I just think PlayStation does a better job of kind of rewarding you for getting 100% completion. So the idea that they're going to highlight games on your achievement list that have been 100%ed, I think is a great way to add some additional value to people who want to complete their games 100%. Is this as good as giving like a platinum trophy like what PlayStation does? Probably not, but I think it is a great addition. Although I'm not a platinum type person. I'm not someone who 100% games. I think Left 4 Dead 1 might be like the only game I ever really 100%ed. But anyway, I do think this is a great addition nonetheless. And most importantly, the thing they're doing here that's the best is the ability to hide games from your achievement list. Now, I wonder if you hide it, does it take the gamer score off as well? I can't wait to look at that more and see how that works, because there have been so many things. It's like a game you played for 10 minutes and you unlocked one achievement in and you don't want it on your list. Like the ability to remove those. Now, they've had for a couple of years now, a handful of years now, the ability to hide a game from your achievements list if you've never unlocked an achievement. So you play a game, you don't have any achievements, your achievement completion is 0%, you can hide that from your profile. But this now allows you to hide games you just don't want on your profile. So you can have a game where you have 70% of the achievements, but you say, hey, I'm embarrassed I used to play My Little Pony, now I'm going to hide that game from my list, whatever, for example. That's awesome. That's a great addition. I can't believe it took this long to get it, but I'm grateful that they've finally done it. So this is a really good quality of life improvement, especially in a time where Xbox has been taking features away from Xbox more so than adding to them. I mean, a lot of these community features have been taken away, a lot of ways to engage and look for games and interact with the community, and the TV and the movies and all that stuff that had been removed from the Xbox console experience. It's nice to see something being added, especially to a feature set that we already all love and want to see grow, like the achievement system. So some good news for Xbox. Really welcome. We got Forza, we got Halo, we got State of Decay 3, and we got achievements all getting some good updates. I'm appreciative that we have, for the first time in a while, a positive week of Xbox news, albeit a smaller, shorter one. That's fine. Now, we got 2 wrap-up stories. This next one, technically no negative news. We could have, I don't know, talked about some layoffs somewhere. I mean, I'm sure there's negative news to talk about if we want to, but I think the stuff we really had to touch on this week was, for the most part, pretty positive. Now, let's. I don't have a whole lot to say on this last one before we get to the wrap-up. It's just from VGC here. It says that the Korean developer Shift Up, the creators behind Stellar Blade, have acquired a new studio. The new studio founded by Shinji Mikami, the of course founder of Resident Evil. In an announcement published this past Wednesday, Shift Up said that it purchased all shares of the Tokyo-based Unbound, the studio Mikami quietly established in 2023 after he left his former company Ghostwire and Hi-Fi Rush developed Tango Gameworks, which of course had recently from that time period been acquired by Microsoft Xbox. Mikami is best known, of course, for his time at Capcom, where he directed the first and fourth entries in the Resident Evil series, among many other titles that he's well known for. So again, I don't have too much to say about this. I believe Shift Up is partially or largely owned by either NetEase or Tencent, which is always disappointing. I'm tired of Tencent and NetEase finding a good Japanese, Korean, or Western developer and then getting their freaking investment money in it. It's just, nobody wants to see NetEase, Tencent, or the Saudi government purchasing up good game developers in studios, but unfortunately we do see it keep happening. But aside from that, I mean, I don't have too much of an opinion on Shift Up. They're a new developer. Apparently, Stellar Blade was quite a good game. It's only available on PlayStation 5 and PC. I have not played it, so I won't speak to it. But it seems like they are a developer that gets the spirit of gaming and that are here to, help put like fun games out there. They're not one of those like, they don't seem like a trend chasey kind of like automatically cringe induced studio. Like I don't know. You don't get the feeling that they're out here like chasing the Fortnite trend or something like. So there's something about it where it's like, oh, this seems like a good fit. And plus, I'm always kind of rooting this. I don't know, the South Korean games industry is such an interesting one because it's like, for the entire history of games, it's always been largely the story of like Japan and the United States. And then, of course, over the years, there's been a lot of prominent game development coming out of Canada and various parts all throughout Europe. But I feel like Korea has been, especially the past like 20 years or so, more so the past 10 years, has been like this. Like, there's always been a couple of developers, a couple of publishers that make some really, really notable games. I mean, you got like Guild Wars, you got what am I trying to say? League of Legends. There's just there's a couple of these like games and studios and things that are just like, oh yeah, well I guess League of Legends isn't a Korean game, but it's a game that's huge in Korea. And then you got like, I don't know, just I guess I'm struggling to put into words. Just there have been a few development teams coming out of Korea in the past decade or so that have made a huge splash, and it's cool to see that that group of creatives start to kind of rise to a level of prominence where we're starting to get more of that representation out there into the world. But what makes me sad, of course, is seeing the influence from companies like Tencent and NetEase kind of come in and start taking things over. Of course, my beloved, what am I trying to say? Smilegate, developers of Crossfire. Now they are, of course, developer based in Korea. They've been around for 20 plus years at this point. But anyway, it's just cool to see that growth and proliferation of the Korean publisher and developer in the games industry, as we know, like places like Poland are big in gaming, France, the UK, US, Canada, Japan, and to see Korea kind of start to rise and become one of those prominent places is something I champion. I just wish you could do it without the influence of Saudi Arabia or the CCP. But anyway, that's fine. This is just kind of how it goes. Money always seems to come from the shadiest of places, but hopefully these developers can at least create what they want to create without too much influence. Not that we want to financially support bad actors, but how do you interact in today's world without doing so anyway? Anyway, let's move on to our wrap up for the week, which is just some Game Pass news, although I will say it's a really strong month for Game Pass. So this is from Xbox Wire, of course. The following games are available as of now on Xbox Game Pass for the month of April. So let's just read these off real quick and then we'll continue on. Final Fantasy IV is a Game Pass Ultimate PC game that's out now. DayZ now joins Game Pass Ultimate on PC. Endless Legends 2 now in Game Pass Premium. FBC Firebreak joins Premium after being in Ultimate for a long time. Planet Coaster 2 joins Premium and Ultimate and PC. So that's as of now. Not a whole lot to say other than maybe Final Fantasy IV, cool. I guess Final Fantasy, I don't know to what extent people are clamoring for like old school Final Fantasy, like the old 1 through 6, especially on the Xbox ecosystem, but that is obviously a notable game. But here's where it starts to get interesting. So from the coming soon, this is for the remainder of the month of April, we've got Tiny Bookshop, don't know anything about that, coming to Game Pass, Ultimate Premium and PC. Football Manager on PC now makes its way into Premium. Also, the console version of the game, same deal. But here's where it starts to get really good. Hades 2 on April 14th comes to Game Pass Ultimate, Premium, and PC. Now, that is a day one Game Pass game for... Hades 2 has been out on Switch and PC for a minute, but this is when it comes to PS5 and Xbox. So when it comes to console, it will be a day one Game Pass game, just like Hades 1 was. So that's a huge get. I know people absolutely love the Hades games. Then next up, same day, one I'm very much looking forward to is Replaced, which comes out April 14th. Again, day one, Ultimate and PC Game Pass. This is that game that has been teased by Xbox for 4 or 5 years now. It is that 2.5D like pixel. It has that, like, I don't know how to describe it, that new art style where it's like the character models are like pixel art, but the backgrounds and everything have hyper realistic lighting and hyper detailed environments. And it is some people call it a Metroidvania, some people call it just an action platforming game. I don't know. It has gun combat. It's 2.5D. It has platforming. I don't know if it's a Metroidvania or not, but this game from an aesthetic standpoint looks so good, and I've been anticipating it ever since we first saw it like 5 years ago. So much so that I don't care. This is a day one game for me. I don't care what kind of game it is. I'm gonna give this game a go. So great Game Pass get for day one. We've known about that ever since the game was announced, but this game is only going to be on Xbox and PC. It's not coming to PS5 or Switch 2. Now, will it come to those platforms in the future? Almost certainly it will. But for the foreseeable future, this is a Xbox PC timed exclusive. So there you go, a good get for Xbox. I think this game has high potential to be an indie darling. We'll see if maybe the Xbox affiliation stops that from being the case, but I think this game will be quite well received. It's had a demo out for a while that I've been resisting the urge to play because I just want to experience it all for myself when the full game is out. But I'm assuming that this game is going to be pretty well regarded. It seems like the hype level from those who have seen it or experienced it so far is pretty high. So that's a huge get. The Matt Turd, I don't know what the heck this is. Don't know. April 14th, Game Pass Ultimate. Let's move on. Elder Scrolls 4 Bolivian Remastered. It now comes to Game Pass Premium. EA Sports NHL 26 comes to Game Pass Ultimate. As a side note, that game's currently on sale for like $20 on every platform. So, this is pretty typical. We're reaching the end of the regular season for the NHL. So the game starts to go on sale as people gear up for the off-season, the playoffs, then the off-season. And then, of course, this fall we'll get NHL 27. But anyway, that goes into Game Pass Ultimate. Some value there if you want to play some NHL 26 while the Stanley Cup playoffs take place over the next 2 months. Next up, Call of Duty Modern Warfare from 2019 comes to Game Pass Ultimate Preview or Game Pass Ultimate Premium and PC on April 17th. I don't know what the rhyme or reason to when and how Xbox finally brings Call of Duty games into Game Pass, how that works, like what the logic is there. I feel like this could have been such a bigger hype moment a long time ago, but bringing this game into Game Pass now, it's like, why? Why now? The only guess is that I know Black Ops 7 is kind of one of the lesser, more successful recent Call of Duty games. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 was a huge Call of Duty. It's probably the biggest Call of Duty ever. And this year is going to be the year of Modern Warfare 4. So my guess is this is kind of a good, like, pre-hype before we'll probably see Modern Warfare 4 get announced in May. The rumor is that we might see it as soon as May. Definitely by the time we get to the Xbox showcase in June, we'll definitely see it by then. So my guess is this is kind of a way to nudge people, be like, hey, remember how much you love Modern Warfare? Keep that in the back of your mind because you're about to see Modern Warfare 4. So that's my guess. It's a way to kind of give Call of Duty a little bit of a nudge as we start to phase out the underperforming Black Ops 7 and ramp up the marketing efforts for the upcoming Modern Warfare 4. All right, Little Rocket Lab is the next one here on April 21st, Game Pass Premium and PC. SOPA Tale of the Stolen Potato is also the same day, as well as another really big get here, Vampire Crawlers. So this is the same developer of Vampire Survivors. This is a sequel or something in the same universe. It's not really a sequel, it's a spin-off, it's a different kind of game. This is a roguelike card-based battle game. I don't know if that's really the best way to describe it, but this is a game that is coming out on April 21st, so another day one get for Game Pass, another game that I think will be a big hit for them. There has been already a demo for this on PC. It's done quite well. People are very hyped about it. This is another indie game that will surely garner a lot of respect and attention and high critic praise. Whether it's a huge commercial success, I don't know, but it's a really good get for Game Pass. They got Vampire Crawlers, they got Replaced, and Hades 2. Like, I mean, if you're looking at the indie space, like the Steam indie space over on Xbox, this is a really good month for Game Pass. Then on April 23rd, the new first-party game from Double Fine, the Psychonauts developer, comes out. Kiln. This is the game that we saw in January. It is that pottery platform party brawler game that was very unique and interesting, that was shown, the multiplayer brawler game that was shown back in January. So this is, of course, a day one Game Pass game because it's Xbox first party. So it'll come to PC Game Pass and Ultimate on April 23rd. This is another game I thought looked really cute and interesting. I will definitely be there to try it out because I love Double Fine and will support whatever the hell they do. But yes, I don't think this game is going to be a commercial hit by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think this game is going to have a very long life ahead of it. I think this game's probably going to come and go with a whimper, with very little talk whatsoever about it. But on the off chance that it does hit, because you never know with some of these smaller games, good get for Xbox. Definitely a good get for Game Pass. This is definitely good. I don't want to say Game Pass fodder, but it's definitely good content for Game Pass, because Killen's the kind of game where you can make it and drop it for $20-$25 and some idiot like me will buy it, but it's not the kind of game that's going to garner a large audience. So it's really good for Game Pass because people who are already subscribed on Xbox or PC could go, hey, what the heck is this? Let me download it. I don't know. It's 6 gigabytes. Let me try it for an afternoon and see if I like it. And then, maybe it can garner an audience that way. I don't suspect this game is going to be much of anything, but I do suspect it will be fun, because Double Fine, say what you want, but they really don't miss. They kind of only know how to make fun games. They have a very creative approach to game design and to how they get inspired to make games. And the result is that whether it's something big like Psychonauts or something kind of smaller and lesser cared for, like the one that just came out. What's the one that just came out in November? I played it where you play as the lighthouse keeper. Regardless of which one it is, there's always a very inspired, creative effort behind the game, and it always shows. These guys, they don't put out half-ass games. They don't put out slop. They're always doing something unique, and they're always kind of beating to the, I don't know, Double Fine has like a if Tim Burton did Nintendo kind of feel to it, where their games are always a little esoteric, they're a little different, they're a little creepy and just alternative looking, but they have a lot of this creative spirit that you only see from the likes of like Nintendo, where it's always about mechanics and fun and creativity at the forefront, and then the commercial viability of the product comes on the back end. So I respect the heck out of these guys for the way they do things, and I will give this game 100%. I will give this game a try, just because this is a developer I will always go to bat for. I'll always be there to support. So really good. I think it's a great month for Game Pass if you're looking at it from the perspective of smaller games, indie games, and just from the perspective of having a large swath of content. There's a ton of stuff here. So yeah, really, really good one. Now, as is the case every month, you don't just get games, you lose games too. So Game Pass will be losing the following 5 games on April 15th. So make sure you download them now or purchase them for 20% off if you want them now. Otherwise, April 15th rolls around, they're gone. So the following games will be leaving: Ashen, which I know is a popular one. Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. My Little Pony, The Zephyr Heights Mystery. There you go. There you go, guys who played My Little Pony, The Zephyr Heights Mystery. You can now hide your achievements in shame. And then Terra Invicta are all leaving Game Pass. Now, the last game leaving Game Pass of note here is Grand Theft Auto 5 is leaving Game Pass. Now, let's reemphasize. Grand Theft Auto 5 has come and gone on Game Pass like a million times at this point. I feel like every year this game comes to Game Pass and then leaves. So is this the last time we'll see GTA 5 on Game Pass? I don't know. Maybe they'll put it on Game Pass again, like in September or October in the lead up to GTA 6, but I just feel like this is one we've seen come and go so many times. I can't be sad to see it say goodbye. I can't feel like this is the final time, because I'm just expecting to see it back on here in a few months. Now, that being said, maybe not the best look with the timing of this, just because you probably want as many Xbox players as possible to have access to a Grand Theft Auto game on the road to Grand Theft Auto 6, because there's just going to be so much hype, so much anticipation as we progress and march towards November. So I think this is kind of a bit of a tough loss, but at the same time, I don't know, man. It's like, how many of you out there are really leaning on Game Pass to play Grand Theft Auto 5? The game sold like 240 million units. It's been out since September of 2013. Like, do you really need this game in Game Pass? Like, who are you out there who's like, oh yeah, it's just been freaking 13 years or whatever. I haven't bought Grand Theft Auto 5, but I play it all the time in Game Pass. I don't know. I don't really understand how much this matters, but it's an optics thing. So from that point of view, I get it. But anyway, 20% off before it's gone on April 15th. Otherwise, just say goodbye. Be prepared for that. But yeah, that's it for all of our news this week, guys. Really positive week. Listen, I told you guys, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy all the time. It's just the news is often sad. I sit down excited to talk to you guys about video games, and then you open up a freaking web browser and go to VGC.com, and it's just like, boom, everyone's laid off and dead. It's like, whoa, I thought this was an Xbox podcast. Anyway, let's swing real quick into the games I've been playing. I've only been playing really 2 games, but I've been playing them quite a lot and really enjoying the heck out of them, so I'm excited to talk to you guys about that. But before I can tell you about what I've been playing, I gotta first tell you about what I've been eating. And guys, I will say it's getting hot here again in Florida. Grilling season is back, although in fairness, grilling season is kind of 365 in Florida. You don't really need to take a break from it, but I have taken somewhat of a break. However, this past weekend, I finally busted out the grill for the first time since around the holidays, and I smoked for the first time. I attempted the intimidating, the always fear-inducing brisket that it seems like everyone in the grilling world covets and fears at the same time. Because for those who don't know, beef brisket is supposedly a pretty tough meat to smoke or to grill. So I've had this small brisket, like maybe a 4-pounder, in my freezer for, I don't know, freaking 4 or 5 months now. And, just having people come over was a good opportunity to finally do it. So I've been very nervous about this because brisket, I follow the grilling subreddit, and I'm on it like all the time. I'm just always reading, and people constantly are posting like, hey, I followed all the instructions. I did all the things. I followed all the tips from the Reddit page. I watched all the YouTube videos. My brisket still came out dry. What did I do wrong? So I was just assuming. I was like, listen, first time, I'm kind of expecting this to go wrong. Not really expecting the world here. So I'd followed all the steps. I read all the things. I watched all the videos. I was prepared for the disappointment of, listen, first time, you're going to screw it up. It's just what happens. Thing took me, 4 or 5 pound brisket. Took me about 5-6 hours to smoke this thing. I just did my classic snake method on the Weber Kettle charcoal grill. Seasoned it the day before to help, get everything set in and get the most flavor out of this boy. But like, the thing turned out mostly fine. It was a little dry on the top half of the brisket. The bottom half came out pretty juicy, which I was shocked to see was the case. But it overall went pretty okay. And like, I don't have butcher paper. I ran out of aluminum foil in the middle of the smoke, so I thought the thing was done for. I had to use parchment paper, and I didn't even know if that was going to work. And I was still able to mostly do the resting part just fine, and get, because once you smoke the brisket, you got to pull it off once it hits a certain temperature, and then you're supposed to wrap it in like butcher paper or aluminum foil and let it rest for, like, some people are religious about this. Some people will put it in a like dry box or in an oven or something that's turned off and let it rest wrapped up for like literally a full 24 hours, like 12 to 24 hours. It's like a whole thing about how you got to let it break down. All the juices have to set in, otherwise it's not going to work out. I let it sit for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Turned out pretty much fine. So feeling pretty grateful that my first attempt at a brisket went good. It was like a 7 out of 10 brisket, which I'm very happy with. Now the intimidation comes from, okay, can I replicate the success? Was that like a beginner's luck type of deal? If I go bigger, I'm like, okay, let's amp it up. Let's get a bigger brisket. Let's try to go even bigger next time. Am I going to screw it up because I'm overly confident? I don't know. But the brisket came out good. The seasoning was good. I'm pretty happy with it overall. Just happy to have grilling back. The combination of, like, spending a day off of work, smoking meat on the grill, watching a little baseball, playing a little Nintendo Switch. It's not a bad life. So anyway, that's it for what I've been eating. Now back to what I've been playing. All right, guys. So there's really just 2 things here. The first one is, and we touched on this a little bit last week, the Marvel Maximum Collection just came out about a week ago, and I've been playing through that on the Switch. I really like this collection a lot. Now, keep in mind, it is 6 lesser-known Marvel games. Really, the big thing here, there's only one game that's like a, whoa, you got that game? And it's X-Men, the arcade game. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and pretend like this is a game I grew up with. I didn't play X-Men in the arcades growing up. I didn't know this game existed. This is a new game to me in all ways, but doing some cursory research in anticipation of this collection, this seems to be a highly coveted 90s arcade game that a lot of, arcade guys will go to bat for. Talk about in the same breath of like Ninja Turtles and Simpsons and things like that. So it's one of those licensed arcade games that's highly regarded and well remembered. And I gotta say, having finally played through all the games in this collection now, this game is fantastic. This is a really, really great arcade brawler. The whole thing's like, it's a classic arcade game. If you're playing great, you can beat the whole thing in like 45 minutes. Now, what I love about this collection is I can't play any of these old games well to save my skin. So I bumped them all to the easiest mode and then put like all the cheat codes on for like unlimited lives, invincibility, whatever. Because listen, my fun in this is just for historical purposes and for the sake of gathering context. I want to be able to play through these games and see them from start to finish, to experience the levels and the mechanics, the music, and just kind of get an understanding of these retro games. But someone who's so acclimated to modern games and the kind of, not hand holding, but the kind of difficulty balancing that we have in today's world. Like I played the Marvel Cosmic Invasion that came out in December, and that is a modern arcade style side-scrolling brawler, and that game is perfectly balanced for difficulty. Now, if you're talking about like taking a game like that and then being like, oh, I could play classic retro 2D side-scrolling brawlers because I played Cosmic Invasion, it's like, man, you are sorely mistaken, because that's not how this works at all. Like I go back and play X-Men the arcade game or Ultimate or Maximum Carnage or whatever. Like these games are tough as nails. Like they are just, and the only game in this collection I ever played when I was a child is Maximum Carnage. I had that for, I believe, the Sega Genesis, and dude, that game kicked my butt as a kid. I could never even get past the third level. So yeah, my intention was never, I'm going to become a freaking Dark Souls nerd and learn how to beat these games from stem to stern. My plan was always turn on all the cheat codes, make it easy as can be, and then just kind of like breeze through these games and just kind of see what's up. And from that perspective, I really enjoyed playing 5 of these 6 games. So X-Men the arcade game, excellent game. It's the graphics are phenomenal. It's just such a beautiful sprite art style. It has all the trappings of a great classic arcade brawler. I mean, you got like freaking like enemies busting out of walls and like just random like things happening. It's got dialogue in it, like voice acted dialogue. My favorite part, I guess this is a long known meme in the arcade gaming community, but there's in one of like the 3rd or 4th level, there's this part in the middle of the level where you encounter Magneto and he says, welcome X-Men, or he says, X-Men, welcome to die, because 90s Japanese video games, this game was made by Konami, and just, there used to just be a total lack of translation, so a lot of 80s, 90s games just had funny translations in the West, so it's just really endearing and goofy in all the best ways possible. Just, it feels so 90s, it feels so ridiculous and fun, and just I miss the spirit of games like this. Like when I was a kid, you still felt it in like the echoes of some early 2000s games, and you still had fairly easy access to things from like the arcade or NES or SNES period. So I feel like I got a lot of exposure to this stuff despite not being a kid who grew up in the arcades in the early 90s. I wasn't there for it, so it just I don't know, there's something that feels so nostalgic despite the fact that most of these games I've never played. Then aside from that, there is Captain America and the Avengers, which is another arcade game from what do they call, like something, I forget what let me look it up real quick because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't say it. Let me see. It's Captain America. This is a studio I remember seeing. Yeah, Data East. This is a developer I remember seeing a lot as a child, but never knew anything about them. They were a Japanese developer that went defunct the better part of 20 years ago. And I don't know why I know this name so well. I recognize their logo so clearly, but like they didn't make a whole lot of games that I would have played growing up, so I'm just a little confused by why that is the case. But anyway, yeah, Captain America and the Avengers. So what's great about this collection is it includes like the arcade version, the NES version, the Game Gear version, the Genesis version. Like every version of these games that exists are included in these collections. So with Captain America and the Avengers, you definitely want to play the arcade version. It's the best looking, which was such an interesting thing to learn and be reminded of while playing these games, is that the arcade versions of games looked and sounded way better than the console counterparts. There was, for a long while, the way it was like if there was an arcade version and an NES version or an SNES version, like you wanted to play the arcade version over the home console version. The home console version was the gimped lesser iteration of the game, which is just such a backwards way to think of things now, because everything is developed primarily for console first, and then anything else that exists is the afterthought. So just so interesting that that's the way things used to be. But yeah, the arcade version of this game is the way to go. With a lot of these games, I would like play it on one platform and then like dabble on the other one. It's so fun to see the differences. Like in Maximum Carnage, like the SNES version looks and sounds better. On the Genesis version, the sound isn't as good and all that. It's very interesting to compare and contrast these games that are largely the same product but also entirely different. Because, you know, back when you're talking about classic games that are pixel art and 2D and basically like this, it all hangs on like the visual style and the music and things like that it makes all the difference in the game. So anyway, in this game, I'd never heard of this game. It's super freaking ridiculous and awesome. You can play as Iron Man, Hawkeye, Captain America, or Vision, which is just such a fun random collection of 4 characters. And dude, this game is so ridiculous. Like your stance, just your generic stance in the game is so ridiculous. The way you're hunched over, and I love so much this gameplay mechanic that you see in almost every level, where you can just pick up objects and throw them at your enemies. I wouldn't say this is as good of an arcade game as Konami's X-Men game, but it is a pretty good arcade game. I love that you could just pick up like bottle cans or soda cans, and then like bricks or benches or mailboxes, and just throw them at enemies. And the other thing that's great is like back in the day, like all these like 90s like licensed Marvel video games, the characters are so ridiculous, because it's always like level 1 you're fighting like mobsters, level 2 you're just fighting like street thugs that look like teenagers, and then it's like level 4 you're fighting robots. It's just always so ridiculous. By level 5 you're fighting like dinosaurs or aliens. It's just so much campiness and goofiness in these games. I love them. But another thing that's great about this game is every couple of levels you'll be playing like a sky-based level where you're just on like this little like scooter in the sky. Basically, you're Captain America sitting on a little like flying sky scooter, just shooting down enemies, and it just looks so stupid. It's like, this is in no way, shape, or form would this ever be Captain America, but I guess Data East decided that this is what Captain America needs to be doing in this arcade game in order to keep the gameplay varied and fun, and it's just absolutely ridiculous, but I love it. Red Skull's like trying to use his power and his wealth to take over the world, and he's mind controlling other villains, and the Avengers have to step up and stop him. It's just... It's really, really great. And as much as I still love Marvel to this day. I look forward to every Marvel movie that comes out, whatever. I read Marvel comic books, whatever. There's just a certain level of camp and goofiness that is so lost in modernity, because things are so serious now, because, Marvel is so mainstream, and everyone likes the Avengers, and everyone goes to the movies to see whatever. And it's sad, because like anything you get that's Marvel now has like a self-aware sense of humor and tries to toe the line of being ridiculous while also being kind of serious. And it's like, wow, we will never get things that are this ridiculous and campy and goofy anymore, because it's just not the world we live in anymore. It's not the way people perceive this IP or these characters anymore. And just it's whatever, things change, time happens, but it's so disappointing in a way, because man, I miss this stuff. As someone who grew up with a lot of this stuff, who watched the 90s Marvel cartoons and played other licensed goofy games like this, this is something I miss so dearly from my childhood. So what an absolute treat to play this. Now, I would say, aside from Captain America and the Avengers and the X-Men arcade game, there's no game in this collection that's nearly as good as either of these two. There are 2 Spider-Man games, Maximum Carnage, which I played as a child, and its follow-up sequel, which I never knew existed until this collection, which is Separation Anxiety, which is, by the way, just an awesome name for a game. It's called Spider-Man and Venom Separation Anxiety, and it's this game about like the symbiotes like spread, and there's like all these different people that get infected by the symbiotes, and you get all these additional like Venom Carnage like villains to fight. And it's such a great idea for a video game, but oh man, you can just feel after Maximum Carnage the budget just shrunk down to like the size of a freaking like pellet, and this game just has like no cutscenes. It's super cheap. The ending is so abrupt, the levels are so uninspired, the music's worse than the first game. Like, it is a very disappointing sequel. Like, Maximum Carnage is not a great game. It's a nostalgic game, but it's not a great game. And this game is so much worse in every way. So that was pretty disappointing, but still fun enough to play through for 45 minutes and be like, whatever, I saw it. And then there is Spider-Man and the X-Men. I forget what it's called. It's like Spider-Man and the X-Men team up something. That game is just straight up horrible. It's the only game in this collection I was not able to beat because it is just so bad. It's called Spider-Man and the X-Men in Arcade's Revenge. Yeah, this game is really rough. It's not even fun. It's not a side-scroller brawler. It's like a side-scroller like platformer and collectathon, and it's so hard. There's all these like infinite spawn enemies and things just shooting you from all directions, and Spider-Man controls horribly. You don't get to play as the X-Men until like the 4th or 5th level anyway, and I can't even get that far into the game with the cheat codes on because it's just so boring and tedious to combat this game's awful controls. So like this game to me is like, it's a non-starter. It's like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to play this. We're good. But it is not a good game by any stretch of the imagination. The last game that is in the collection is the NES Silver Surfer game, which I also had never heard of. This game is just so goofy. It's so simple. It's so, I hear it's like hard as nails, but I put on infinite lives and invincibility, and I just blasted through this game in like 30 minutes. It's got like this Mega Man style setup where like you pick a boss and that's how you choose which level to go into, and then you're just the Silver Surfer on your surfboard flying around shooting enemies kind of in like just as it auto scrolls through the levels, and it's just that simple. And there's like 6 levels and a boss fight and you're done, and it's really fine. There's nothing particularly good or bad about this game. I assume if you play it the way it was intended to be played, it's hard as nails and you die a million times and curse under your breath. But other than that, this game is just a random side-scrolling space shooter with the IP of Silver Surfer slapped on it. And basically the ending of the game is so ridiculous because like you do all of Galactus's bidding, and then like the last cutscene is like Galactus is like, good Silver Surfer, now I need you to carry out my evil deed. And Silver Surfer's like, no, I won't do it. And then the credits roll, and that's it. It's an absolutely ridiculous game, but it's just cool experience for, you know, the sake of posterity and everything. So anyway, that's the Marvel Ultimate or the Marvel Maximum Collection. Very glad I played it. It's really quite good. But also there's a lot of games in there that are just like whatever. Anyway, aside from that, the other game I've been playing, and probably more so, is Dead Zone Rogue. Now, I talked about this game a couple weeks ago. I got it on Switch because it was at that Nintendo Indie Direct. I did not realize this game is also on Steam and Xbox and everything else. So I must say, this game is absolutely superb. Like, I cannot recommend this game enough. I think it's on sale right now on most platforms for like $15. For $15-$20, I cannot recommend this game enough. It is a roguelike first-person sci-fi space shooter where you basically, there's like 4 story missions, 4 zones, which have a story mission in each of them, and then in each zone, separate from the story mission, there's like a bunch of side challenges. So there's enough content here to keep you busy for many hours, and you can play it online, you can play it solo, offline. There's horde modes, there's other things. Like, there's enough content here to get dozens of hours of enjoyment. But the core of the game, like the crux of it, this is just a game that throws you right on in, is basically you do these 4 zones, and each zone is like you go through 30 rooms, 30 waves or layers of these enemy encounters. And every time you be, you know, it's like first person shooter space sci-fi game. You have a dash, you have a run, you have a melee, and you have like a pistol. And then it's like you clear room 1 and it's like an enemy drops a shotgun, you pick up the shotgun, and then at the end of the room, once you're done fighting all the enemies, you select an upgrade, just like Vampire Survivors. It's like, hey, here's 3 upgrades. Which one do you want? And it's like, oh, I want to increase my shield. Oh, I want to double my clip sized. Oh, I want to have a side drone companion that shoots alongside me. Whatever. You pick a thing, go into the next room. Repeat. Every 5 or so layers or levels, you get to go into a room where you heal, and then you go to a terminal and you can spend your in-game currency to like upgrade yourself or buy additional weapons. And then you continue on, and then the last level, the last like of the 30 rounds is like a boss fight, and then boom, on to the next zone. And dude, like, listen, there's 4 difficulty modes, so you can kind of scale how hard it is, but this game can get so hard so fast. But it is one of those games that's so addicting. Like, within 20 seconds, you can be hooked on this game. You immediately get it. There's not a whole lot to learn. It just clicks and you're in. And it's one of those games you'll play just like Vampire Survivor, just like Ball Pit or whatever, like these kinds of like really addicting roguelike action arcade style games. It's one of those games where you die, and instead of getting upset because you died, you just go, one more, I got it on this next one, and you just want to roll it again. It's been a great game to just kind of like play on the couch, play in bed, play anywhere. You like on the Switch, so good. I would say this game absolutely is a Steam Deck or Switch 2 kind of game, but it's on Xbox, it's on Steam, it's on PlayStation, whatever. But it looks and runs so great. It's got great frame rate, great graphics. It feels so satisfying. The aim assist, the snap controls, like the everything about it feels so good. A lot of the problems with indie first-person shooters is they might not feel great. This game feels fantastic to play. Huge shout out to the developer, Prophecy Games. They're actually based out of Alpharetta, Georgia, which is my hometown, weirdly enough. So really cool there to see a really great game come from a really great unknown developer that's from the same place as me. I literally looked up where they're located. I'm like, holy crap, that's like a mile down the road from the church I went to growing up. That's absolutely wild. Their office is in an industrial park that's right next to High Res Studios, which is the team that makes Smite, the third person action kind of like League of Legends like game. They used to be in a different side of town. I think they moved actually. But yeah, it's shout out to not only Georgia video game developers, but Georgia video game developers from my hometown. It's crazy. You got High Res, you got now we got Prophecy Games, and then of course the guys that make Killing Floor and Maneater. Those guys are in the next town over from me in Roswell. So really cool to see such notable game developers, such excellent games coming out of the same town I lived in for 20 years. Pretty cool. But anyway, that's Dead Zone Rogue. I cannot recommend this game enough. It is 100% the game I plan on playing today when I'm done with this podcast. Is 100% the game I plan on playing this weekend, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit it because I preemptively bought this game on Switch not realizing it already existed on PC and Xbox, but because it's on sale right now on PC, I just picked it up again on PC, so now I have it on Steam and Switch. Happy to do so, honestly, just because I want to support the heck out of this small developer. But this game is fantastic, and I just highly, highly, highly recommend it. In fact, I'll put it in the nicest way possible. This is the most politically correct way I could say it. If you choose not to play this game, if you're aware of this game's existence and you choose not to play it, you're a moron. Simple as that. But yeah, Dead Zone Rogue, absolutely a must play. If you like arcade first-person shooters, if you like a game that's all gameplay driven, just hooks you from the onset and gets you addicted for 20 hours of your life, this is, it doesn't really get much better than this. So that's it for what I've been playing, you guys. Let's start to round down the podcast with the best section of the podcast, the comments, shoutouts. You know how it works. YouTube.com/Xbox on podcast. You click on the latest episode and you leave a reply. I don't care. You can say something nice. You can be a total jerk. I don't care. Just leave a comment if you so feel inclined to do. And then as always, as I mean to always do, but generally fail to, I got to remind you guys, podcast services, if you could leave a review. Remember, I'm only interested in 5-star reviews. So if you feel like, hey, this is a pretty good show, but there's some room for improvement, 4 out of 5. Do me a favor, John or Tim or whatever the heck your name is, do me a favor and just don't leave the review. I don't need to hear it. Joking. All right, that being said, guys, let's go over. We only have 4 comments this week. I don't know what it is. I feel like when the podcast has a good week, it pops off. It's like, oh, a couple extra 100 people than usual listen to this week's show. We get like fewer comments, and then on weeks where we kind of have stagnant numbers, there's like more of the usual suspects and the core audience kind of come out and support with the comments. I don't understand what that's about. But it's one of those steals. Like last week's podcast did pretty good, and we had fewer comments than the week before. I don't know what to make of that, but I do want to give a special shout out on YouTube. We now have 1,300 subscribers, and podcast is doing the best it's done the past year. So I'm really grateful to all of you guys for supporting the show, continuing to do so. Anyway. Our first comment this week comes from Mr. Cronky, who writes in and says, wait a minute, Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't coming to PC? That's brave for Rockstar. In a world where games like Fortnite are struggling to hold people's attention, GTA 6 should be betting that they can drag PC gamers to the console space. Or they should not be betting, rather. I really don't understand this. Is Sony paying them? LOL. To clarify, I mean that we are also overwhelmed with things vying for our attention, that it would be really easy for people to say, I'll wait till the game comes to me. So, Cronky, I don't mean to make an example of you or embarrass you or anything, to put it, I don't know, for lack of a better way to put it. As a quick reminder, Rockstar famously, or infamously, I should say, never brings their games to PC at launch. This has always been the case. This was the case with GTA 5. This was the case with Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar games always take an additional 2 to 3 years before they come to PC. So this is absolutely nothing new. Now, to your point, though, this is fair to point out because it's not 2013 anymore. The games industry has changed an absolute metric ton, and the way people interact with entertainment in general has changed a ton. Now, in 2013, did we all have like schizophrenic TikTok brain, and were we all, to some extent, yeah. I mean, the internet did exist. We were all addicted to cell phones and things like that, but it is quaint to think about the relationship people had with the phone in their pocket from 2013 compared to where we are in 2026. So yes, it's different. In 2013, I wouldn't be so worried if I was Take-Two Interactive with is someone going to choose screen time on their phone over Grand Theft Auto 6? Is someone going to choose Netflix or a game on their home console over GTA 6 or their PC rather? But in 2026, you might worry about that because we are in the era of someone will choose whether or not to play Fortnite or the new game that all their friends are playing, like Crimson Desert, or go hang out with their friends, or just lay in bed and stare at their phone for 5 hours straight. People will kind of use their free time in any kind of mismatch of those ways, and it is a competition not from video game to video game, but for attention and time, as we keep getting reminded from executives and higher up at all these publishers and game studios. That is what the world has come to. It's oh no, it's not Xbox versus PlayStation, it's Xbox versus Netflix, it's Xbox versus TikTok, it's Xbox versus spending time with your friends. It's all a competition for attention because there are a grand total of 0 seconds a day people are not distracting themselves with some form of technology or entertainment. So I get it from that perspective. Things has changed. You would think, especially because in the time since Grand Theft Auto 5, so many gamers have shifted away from console and towards the PC space. The PC space has grown a tremendous amount. You would think that maybe there'd be a little bit more of a emphasis or a sense of urgency in trying to support the PC platform with your newest games. But alas, we are seeing the same trend throughout history repeat itself, where Grand Theft Auto 6 will definitely come to PC. They haven't said it yet, but mark my words, that game will come to PC. But here we are, a mere 6 months or so before its release. It's only currently coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles, which is interesting. And there have been rumors and reports that the game is also coming to Switch 2. I don't believe that for a second. I don't see how there's any way in which that's possible. I mean, the Switch 2 is a really powerful little engine that could, and in a lot of cases, games look and run just as good, if not better, on the Switch 2 than they do on the Xbox Series S. But I have a feeling that has a little bit more to do with optimization and development effort, and less to do with the platform's capability. But yeah, I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6, I feel very confident saying PlayStation and Xbox this year, and then maybe in 2 years it comes to PC, and does it ever come to Switch? I don't know. That's a complete shot in the dark to think that something like that would happen. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Take-Two is looking at the Switch 2 and saying, can we get a little team, a little group together and just screw off for a couple months and mess around with the Switch 2 dev kit and see if it's possible to get some version of this game running on Switch 2? And if so, can we do it in a way where we don't have to compromise so dramatically that we could maybe actually justify doing this? And I would assume what the answer that they would find at the other end of that experiment would be, is no, you can't get this game running on Switch 2 in the way that you need to justify its existence. But who knows? I mean, the Switch 2 has been quite a little bit of a surprise. You got companies like Capcom doing just an amazing job with like Resident Evil and Pragmata, making these games absolutely sing on this hardware that people completely underestimate. But at the same time, you got like IO Interactive trying to put the new James Bond game on Switch 2, and that just got delayed apparently because, I don't know, they need a little more time for the Switch 2 version. So who knows? But yeah, man, GTA 6, it's going to be a console exclusive for the time being, as was GTA 5, as was Red Dead Redemption 2, and as has been the case for Rockstar for a long time. They are just not historically a PC-centric developer. I don't know what that's about, but it's just kind of been that way for the entirety of the life cycle of Grand Theft Auto. So we'll see. We'll see. My expectation is Grand Theft Auto is one of the very few things that can just kind of be like, we don't have to worry about anything else because we are who we are. It's kind of like that Mario movie that just came out. Like, it doesn't matter how bad the reviews are. It doesn't matter what movie it's going up against. It doesn't matter any of it. It's the Mario movie. You're going to go see it no matter what. And that's kind of how Grand Theft Auto is. It's like, let's be honest. It doesn't matter if you gave up console gaming 5 years ago and you play on PC now. You're going to go out of your way to play Grand Theft Auto 6. You just will. And this game will continue to sell month over month, year after year, for the next decade plus. And we know that because Grand Theft Auto 5 has been doing that for 13 years. So we can assume that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be doing much the same. Anyway, good writing, Cronky. Thank you for that. Let's move on to Marcus Jr., which I believe this is a first-time write-in, so thank you, Marcus, for supporting the show. Says, I can see Fable being pushed to early 2027 to avoid the Grand Theft Auto release. Marcus, don't you dare jinx us or will this into existence, please, for love of God. Has Fable not endeared enough? Have Fable fans not endeared enough in the past few years with how much this game has been shown, delayed, shown, gone completely radio silent on, like repeat. We don't need that. We don't need that energy. Listen, I think Fable is a shoo-in for the September release slot for Xbox this year. I feel very confident that in June, that's what we're going to see, is Fable is slated for a mid to late September release, which gives it about 2 months before Grand Theft Auto 6, which I think is very respectable. I think trying to release a game within a week or two of Grand Theft Auto is suicide. I think trying to release a game a month before Grand Theft Auto is not advisable, but still possible, maybe. I think trying to release a game 2 or 3 months before Grand Theft Auto is completely reasonable. It's doable, especially if you're a game like Fable, which is like, Fable is a long-awaited return of a beloved series. There's a lot of hype around it. People have been excited about it for the better part of a decade. I think Fable has enough going for it that if you do September or earlier, you could absolutely get away with it this year. Now, if you're suggesting that the game needs a little more time in the oven before it's ready, then yeah, you got to delay it to 2027 because you can't do October, you can't do November, and please, for love of God, Xbox, do not try to do the December thing. I know Xbox likes to flirt with December releases. It's always a bad idea. Do not do it. You want your game to be at the Game Awards. You want your game to come out before the holiday rush begins. You don't want to do... You got to stop. Like, I appreciate on a personal level just from the idea of spacing things out, but the early December release is never a good idea. I hope they don't try it. But yeah, Fable for September, that is firmly where I'm expecting this game to be. Now, if there's a game this year that has to get pushed into early 2027, I actually hope it's Gears of War because, dude, the last thing we need is for Fable to get the short end of the stick yet again. And then I think Halo is such a shoo-in for the anniversary of Xbox, and it's a smaller project. It's a remake. It's not a brand new game. I just think it's kind of easy to assume the Halo thing is happening. But yeah, I could see a world where maybe Gears of War E-Day gets pushed to like a February, March 2027. In fact, that might even be just a smart thing to do. Even if the game is ready in time, you might want to do that just to sit on it, just to kind of space things out and give yourself some breathing room. But I don't necessarily think that that's the destiny for Fable, is that an early 2027 release is in its future. Marcus, again, I'm just going to say one last time, don't put this on us. Don't will this into existence. Fable fans deserve better than this at this point, please. So thank you for the write-in. Decoy Doctopus writes in and says, there was not a release date for Stranger Than Heaven because they did a massive bait and switch. Now you're referring to the Xbox Partner Showcase from last week. He said they did a bait and switch announcing that the game would get its own direct on May 6th. That's right. They said Stranger will be there and then showed another teaser trailer and promoted another event. I don't know if that was a Sega event or what. I don't remember seeing that tease in the trailer. And quite honestly, Decoy Octopus, I appreciate the correction, the update. But it's, I can't be bothered, man. It's so weird when like all these third parties, who does this a lot? Was it Ubisoft? Where they do that stuff where they're just like, oh yeah, we're going to be at this event. And then you go to that event and they're just like, all right, we're going to use this event to advertise our other events. Like, listen, man, you can't keep like bait and switching captive audiences like that. It's not like, I don't know that, this game's going to lose support because this happened, but it's just kind of a bad faith move. I get it. It's a great way to get your product in the face of many, many people and then promote your own event to guarantee the highest number of viewers possible. But at the same time, it's like, dude, Xbox gave you this platform to talk about your game, talk about your freaking game and move on. Like I don't need to see the same trailer, the same demo for Stranger Than Heaven 5 times just to find out what the release date is, because eventually I'm just gonna get to the point where I see your trailer and I disassociate because you're the game that just likes to show itself again and again and again, but never has anything to say. And that's a real thing. I assume it happens for you guys as well, but it happens for me where I'm just like, all right, I don't need this again. I don't need to see this update for the 5th time. I'm just going to tune out if I see this game. So, which is a shame because Stranger Than Heaven looks fantastic. Ryu ga Gotoku, those guys have the secret sauce. They know what they're doing when it comes to these like Yakuza Mafia style action games. And it looks like this one's kind of going back to the more brawl style combat instead of the turn-based combat, which would be excellent because I prefer that. But yeah, I mean, this, like, don't show your game if you don't have anything to say. Be like State of Decay. Just go screw off and disappear for 5 or 6 years. Please don't do that. All right. Thank you for writing in, Decoy. Our final comment is a simple one that comes from, how do you say this? Sean and Sean 2191. Like Sean spelled one way and then Sean spelled another way. Anyway, Sean, thank you for writing in. Another first-time writer, so I appreciate you, man. Says, I kind of miss saying Xbox on. Yeah, man, me too. Listen, I think enough time has passed that I can opine about the early Xbox One days yet again. I mean, dude, I know people hate it. I know the history will tell you, oh, you're supposed to hate the Xbox One. Oh, TV, they messed it up. Oh, the Windows 8 inspired UI was so bad. Like I'm never gonna succumb to that dogma. Because that was never my experience. That was never my takeaway. I bought into the Xbox One generation very, very early on, like 2 months after it came out, with the expectation that it was going to be a completely fine console and that I would need to stick with Xbox because I love Halo, and at the end of the day, I need the console that has Halo. And then I remember immediately, as soon as I got home, took that thing out of the box, set it up, I was playing Titanfall for the first time, I was immediately like, oh wait, like this thing is way more of an upgrade than I thought it would be, and this is like way more of a welcomed reinvention of the Xbox than what I was anticipating. Now, in all fairness, Xbox One kind of came out in a time where I was like transitioning out of high school into college, and it was just, it's like a time in your life where you're like maybe a little out of touch with like your big deep hobbies, because when you're in your 17, 18, 19-year-old range, you're just very focused on like social life and your first job and a girlfriend and school and all, maybe your hobby of like video games or whatever isn't like the thing at the forefront of your mind. So by the time the 360 ended, I was like pretty much ready to move on to the next thing. I was like, okay, I love the 360, but like it's time for something new. So Xbox One was a generation that I always regard so well because I didn't have the highest expectations of it, because at the time I was pretty bought into all the stuff everyone else was saying, where I was like, yeah, PS4 is probably going to be the better console. I'm just going to get Xbox because I'm kind of a slave to Halo. And then so it's like expectations were low. And then the reality of that experience getting into Xbox One at the beginning of its cycle, I was like, what a fantastic little machine. What a great thing. And at not the center of it all, but a big part of that was the Kinect. I thought the Kinect was freaking awesome. I loved, having my Xbox in my bedroom, like you freaking middle of the night, you wake up, you're just like, let me put on some YouTube or something to fall asleep to, and you just like wave your hand in front of the Xbox, and it's just tracking your hands. Like, I don't know, my controller's on the other side of the room, I'm laying in bed, I don't got time for this. You just wave your hand, and your Xbox is like, okay, you can use your hand to control the console, and you like just drag across the screen and push forward to select the YouTube app and just like click on a video and be like, that's freaking sick. Or you're done and you're like, Xbox, turn off. Or like, one thing I loved doing in the early days was when you're playing Titanfall and you're just grinding out, you're on like 4th prestige, you just grinded the game out, you go, Xbox, snap MLB, and then like you're just freaking watching the baseball game in the corner of the screen while you're playing Titanfall on 3/4 of the screen. You're like, that's awesome, dude. That's such a cool experience. Like, I understand there's ways it could have been better executed, and there's plenty of criticisms people have about these features that I'm out here like just kind of regaling in a pastoral sense, but like I remember having a really good time with this console in its early days. I remember thinking the UI looked great. I remember thinking the Kinect was an awesome tool. Was it necessary? No, but it was a really fun and novel way to interact with the console. And some of that was just, at the time I was on Mac, so Windows 8 was new to me, and at the time I was I hadn't played the Kinect from the Xbox 360, so the Kinect was an entirely new thing to me. I only knew Generation 2 of Kinect. And so in a lot of ways, it was just all new, all fun, all exciting to explore and hop into, and I was just enjoying this new tech toy I got. But man, it's like those early days of the Xbox One, I do not for 1 second look back on it and think anything shy of what a great time. I love the Xbox One. But I know everyone's like, oh, the early version, it was missing so many features. It sucked. They did this wrong. Matchmaking was weird. The friends list was effed up. The Windows 8 look sucked. Kinect was useless. Oh, why did I have to pay an extra $100 for it? It's like, I don't know, man. I've just zero complaints in hindsight. I just really enjoyed the hell out of my Xbox One. And I, alongside you, Sean and Sean, I miss saying Xbox On. It's why the podcast was named this. I mean, I made this show right on the kind of twilight years of the Xbox One, and I was like, this is something that's kind of a dated reference instantly because Kinect is kind of dead already. Xbox One is the focus of the show for now, but Xbox One's going to get replaced with a new generation in the next year or two. But I was like, no, I want to have the name of the show kind of be an ode to the current generation of Xbox, because Xbox One was a generation that I think was misunderstood. It was underappreciated. And it was a generation that kind of re-sparked my love for Xbox at a time where I was not like falling out of gaming, but I was just becoming a little more like laissez-faire and agnostic towards gaming. And Xbox One kind of recaptured my love and expression for the brand. So I named this show Xbox On, one, to be like cheeky and be like, oh, Xbox On, it's like a podcast. You put it on, you turn on, it's like fun. But also just as like a tribute or an homage to, a nod, I'll say, to a console that I think probably will never get the respect it deserves. But I don't know, maybe that's too much to say. I think when the kids that are currently like 15, 17, 18, when they're, give it like 5 to 8 more years, when these kids are a little older, there might be a huge revisionist history about how good the Xbox One is, because I think it's one of those things where it's like, just you wait, man, because I can't be the only one. This was a great console, and it was just so dogged on just because the internet, dogmatic kind of like, oh, my favorite content creator said this, so I have to think this. It's like, but it was a great console, so shut up. So I don't know, man. I'll always stand by the Xbox One, and I think history will be kinder to it, but I don't know if it'll ever be. I don't know if it'll ever get the respect I think it truly deserved, but whatever. I'm a huge Xbox One fan. I'm a huge Xbox Kinect fan, at least version 2 of Kinect. And I also miss saying Xbox On. So there you go. Sean and Sean, thank you for writing in, and thank you to everyone who wrote in, and of course, thank you to everyone who listened. With that said, we're going to wrap up the show. Going to send you guys off for the week. I got some work to get done, and but appreciate you guys being understanding about it being a little briefer of a show, a little more direct, and look forward to your feedback as always, your write-ins. Until then, be well and have a great week. Power your dreams.